of Homeschool Connections, and we are so glad to have you with us this evening. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for accepting the invitation to join us. If you don't feel like you have to write anything down, just kind of a few housekeeping things. Don't think you have to write anything down. This will be recorded. It is recorded and will be distributed to everyone who attends and those that signed up who aren't in attendance. So you will definitely be getting a copy of this. That way you can focus on what I say and even questions you may want to ask, and I'll be happy to answer those questions. So we are glad to have you with us. Before we get started with everything, I'd like to go ahead and invite you to pray with me. This is exactly how we run our classes. All the teachers are encouraged to open up class with prayer. It sets the tone for a very good learning environment. So we'll do the same for this evening. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for the many blessings bestowed on us, especially our children. Please let us be good stewards with what you have provided us. Please let this open house be an instrument of your will, and that their efforts, the parents' efforts, to serve their children. We ask this in your name. Amen. In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen. So, let's start off with just kind of getting into what Homeschool Connections is about. And some of you are asking some of those questions in chat. And by the way, feel free to pose your questions in chat. I'll do my best to answer them when and where appropriate. And if I don't get to it during the presentation, I'll certainly stick around and we can answer your questions there as well. So Homeschool Connections is a worldwide provider of courses for students and students from all different parts of the world. We have students from Canada, we have them from Europe, we have them from South America, we have them from, in some cases, the Philippines, and then in New Zealand and Australia. They're all over the place, but the vast majority are here in Canada and United States. But it's our endeavor to provide courses that can easily and are affordable, and that are live and recorded. And I'll get to the differences later on, what that means. The obvious is one is in real time and one is self-paced or has already occurred, right? But we'll get into the specifics of that a little later on. But also to confidently give the best possible and highest levels of learning to your students at home, so that you as a parent can feel assured that they're learning exactly what they're supposed to be learning and about that topic that you've signed them up for to learn about. Tonight, we're going to be focusing on two different types of things that we do: the courses and the programs. The course types are the live and unlimited access, or the recorded courses. And the program types, we'll look at the Aquinas Writing Advantage and the grade school program. Now, it's worth pointing out that if you want to do a deep dive on those different program types, Aquinas Writing and the grade school, we have our own. And you probably saw this when you signed up. You'll see that they'll have their own open houses. And if you would like, I can provide that to you. Just let me know in chat. I can certainly provide you a link to our past open houses with both of those programs. I'm happy to include that in my summary email to you. That'll include the recording of this program as well, of this webinar. So we'll also get into how the courses work, what classes, what it's like to be in the online classroom, and again, to answer your questions. We'll also specifically get into specific courses and learn about some of the teachers, learn what some of the teachers are like and who they are and whatnot. You'll get information about how unlimited access recordings can be incorporated into your learning at home and how simple the technology is. It's very much what you're seeing here. You know, when we started Homeschool Connections 15 years ago, there was a lot of it was fairly new to go online and to take classes. So that was a very big part of we had to teach parents on what that experience was like. And since then, I think it's been very ubiquitous, I should say, that the online experiences, taking classes online, is a little more ubiquitous than it was in the past. But that being said, we do try to use technology that is simple to use and is easy for you as a parent and the students to adapt to, right? So our mission is simply this: to connect your Catholic homeschool to the experts. And we do this in the spirit of the new evangelization and in light of John Paul the Great's teaching on the domestic church. We use technology to help your family's homeschooling by providing you the exact resources and online courses that you need. And we've done a pretty good job of this. So what's great about this is we've won a lot of awards over the year. There's one called the iLearn Awards, and it's a Protestant award that's issued by Practical Homeschooling magazine, and we have come in first or second place in the majority of the years that we've been part of that. It's been going on and off for about the last 10 years, and we've been fortunate to win some more awards, first or second place with them, which is kind of cool. So and what our endeavor is to make it affordable and engaging, right? From university professors and practitioners. I'll get into how we started in a bit, but our endeavor is to make sure that it's engaging. Your students feel like they enjoy the learning process. And we do that in an affordable way. So how do we start? We started out offering by doing webinars like this one, as a matter of fact, but it wasn't even with the thought of actually introducing content to the students. It was more about actually providing webinars about, topically speaking, for parents who couldn't attend in-person conferences. Homeschoolers may want to go to, say, a conference out of state or even 3 hours away, but they couldn't pull themselves away because you had family responsibilities and that sort of thing. Well, anyway, we started off doing webinars, but the parents, while they liked that and they enjoyed that, they wanted more. And so we went ahead and we asked, we started polling the parents. What do you want? What do you want to see more of? And that sort of thing. And we're inviting them to, what speakers would you like to see? And so they were saying, yeah, that's great, but do you offer any online classes for high school? Which we hadn't even considered, as a matter of fact. So we started doing that. We went ahead and started offering courses, and we did that in the first in April 2009 with, at the time, the legislative director of the Michigan Right to Life office. His name is Ed Rivette. A great program, great course, as a matter of fact. So you can see that takes us back to almost 50. Actually, we started in October of 2008. Our first class was in April of 2009. So we've been around for about 15 years doing this. And the course was well received. That was the look that most of the students gave, by the way, and the parents, I might add. The parents were giving us that look, the kind of the Home Alone look. And we attribute much of this to what Maureen, my business partner, who I'll introduce here in a minute, more about her in a minute and more about me in a minute. But we attribute this to the Holy Spirit. In fact, we kind of call him our CEO. And in so many ways that's true, because the way we kind of came together. So let me take a moment to do just that. So Maureen and I started out offering the online webinars, as I mentioned, and Maureen was one of my speakers that I'd reached out to. And she was in the process of moving from Lansing to where she lives now in Howell, Michigan. And in the course of that, though, I was kind of trying to see how this would work, how we could be successful at it and whatnot. And Maureen started helping me recruit a lot of different speakers and whatnot for the online webinars that we were doing. And I invited her to be my business partner at that time because she was doing so much legwork. And she said, well, Walter, I kind of thought we were. But I said, well, let's formalize that. So Maureen, my wife, and I flew up to Michigan, met her and her husband and their kids. We hit it off immediately. It was like two peas in a pod, man. It was great. And so what we started brainstorming, again, kind of that idea, how can we support parents? Because this is what we're hearing from them. They needed the online courses. And so we solicited teachers like Ed Rivette and a number of the teachers that you see now that are in our course catalog. And they agreed that they would like to give this a go. And so sure enough, that's how we started. And ironically, to kind of give you a little bit of a sampling of how the Holy Spirit works, I was looking for a website design and I didn't know what that should look like. And my web designer said, well, we'll find something that you like and see if it, we can make that work for your template, as a template for you. And so sure enough, I stumbled across this website. It just so happened to be Maureen's website, who I didn't know at the time. I didn't even know Maureen. I hadn't even asked her to be part of speaker or anything of that sort. So the long and short of it is, I used her website, her personal website, as a template from our website at the time. And it so happened that it was Maureen, who now is my business partner. So it's crazy how that all unfolded. It was just a very unique kind of arrangement. So we believe that the Holy Spirit's our CEO, and it's led to us offering the courses that you see today. And so with Homeschool Connections, you can get live and recorded courses for high school, middle school, and grade school students. And we do that, and again, let me back up here. So we do it in live and recorded formats, as we said. And I mentioned earlier that there's 4 tranches we're going to be looking at: the live courses, unlimited access, grade school, and the AWA, or the Aquinas Writing Advantage program. And they offer its core courses for sure, but courses that go above and beyond. We have a grade school program, and the AWA program is a complete start to finish writing program. And classes can be accessed by parents or any other individual who desires to learn more about a given topic. We also offer free conferences as well. And anyway, and you can participate in our conferences, and I'll get into specifics about that in a little bit later on. We offer the Refresh Midwinter Conference, which we had in February of earlier this year. That's designed to kind of kickstart your homeschool in the middle of the doldrums of homeschooling, because it's a hard month, February, because you're coming off the holidays and you're wanting to kind of figure out what's next. How can I finish the semester off, whatnot? The Refresh Conference is designed to be kind of a Kickstarter for that. But anyway, all right, so I digress. So with regard to our programs, let's get into that. So we have a little bit about the grade school program. The grade school program is basically, you can simplify and streamline home education it's an integrated literature-based curriculum with project-based learning incorporating the history, science, language arts, art, and religion together. You can even separately we're actually adding as a separate add-on. It's not part of the program per se, but we're introducing Latin this year as well. And with this year, we're doing the Renaissance period and modern history. So you get a written and online guided experience with the listing the courses to take and the how-tos to make it basically a complete family learning experience. Now, we do it in a 4-year cycle, just so you know. As I mentioned earlier, we're doing the Renaissance and modern history this year, and it's designed for your 3rd grader up to 6th grade, as a matter of fact. Now, there are you'll see in a moment, there are 2 other cycles that we'll get into, but they're already recorded, and you can incorporate those as well if they're more in line with what you're trying to target for your school, for your students this year. But either way, it's focusing on history, literature, and philosophy. That's general, and there is some writing involved in that as well. Okay, so here's the 4-year cycle. Again, I mentioned earlier we're doing this year we're doing ancient history. I'm sorry, I said earlier. Yeah, all right. So we're doing the Renaissance and modern. That's one live element, but we're also in ancient history this year. I was remiss in saying that earlier. So ancient history is a focal point for doing live this year, as well as the Renaissance/modern history. And those are, again, live courses that'll be available. The medieval and American history we did last year, so we're just rotating it out, and those have been recorded, so that could be part of your curriculum as well if you want to do it asynchronously. So how does this all work exactly? How does the grade school program work? So learning takes place 4 days a week. Families will join live and on video 1 day a week. It's a flipped classroom, so you do a lot of your prep work when you're not meeting in real time. Projects are discussed and presented when you do meet in live, and families are provided with the daily lesson plans, checklist, videos, and other materials for learning. So the parents are not removed from the situation. They're actually integrated into it. They're encouraged to be part of it. In fact, it's really quite it's mandatory that they're involved in some level. So the students, while there is some work that they'll do on their own, but it'll be under your guidance. So the lessons plans, everything else has been pretty much provided to you. And then you see the results of your students' work, especially when they present, when they meet that 1 day a week. The entire program uses all 4 volumes of Philip Campbell's history series, The Story of Civilization. So that's our spine. Some of you may be familiar with it. I think it's published by Tan Publishing. So that's a little bit about the grade school program. Well, let's gonna get into the middle school and high school program. But before I do, did anyone have any questions? Let me see. Let's see. I'm gonna check to see when any questions have come up. Okay, so I'll get to the other questions I see coming in a minute. But are the elementary unit, and Madison's asking, are the elementary unit studies a full curriculum? Is it only for history? I guess I will need to be supplemented for an elementary school. All right. So what will need to be? So math is probably the thing that you want to supplement. Everything else is pretty much addressed. Just so you know, there's history, literature, philosophy. There's even art and part of it as well. So it's a fairly well-baked curriculum with the exception of math. And the reason why math is excluded is because math tends to be kids are all different levels in math at that age level. So we try to allow for the parents to oversee that part of their curriculum. But pretty much everything else is incorporated and can be full on as far as the students is concerned. Hopefully that answers your question. Yeah. Great. Okay, good. All right. Let's see. I'm going to look at some of the other questions while I'm looking at. Let's see if we might be answering this in a minute. So, okay, yeah, a lot of great questions coming in. I will definitely be getting into these as we get into the presentation. So I'll hold off. And if I don't answer them, please feel free to let me know, and I'll be happy to go back in and look at them again. Okay. All right. So the courses for middle school and high school, they cover all subjects. Philosophy, and I'm going to go through this list real quick. Philosophy, logic, and ethics. As far as literature, ancient through modern, from Homer to Tolkien to Dracula. For math, you go to general math all the way up to calculus, financial math, and accounting. And financial math is a great kind of alternative to some of the calculus that some students are having to take, because it's a higher math, but it's not quite as difficult. But it could count for that, depending on what school you go to or they're intending to go to, if college is their destination. As far as writing is concerned, it covers all subjects from punctuation and grammar, all the way from academic writing and rhetoric to essay writing, vocabulary and writing, fiction writing, and screenwriting, journalism, business writing, research writing, and college preparatory writing. So it really covers the entire gamut of writing. And this isn't a complete list, by the way. It is more involved, and mostly because there's so much creative writing elements that we're adding on to the curriculum. So those are more electives, if you will. But if the student has an interest in writing creatively, there's some good classes in that space that they may be interested in learning and taking. As far as sciences go, it goes from physical science, biology, chemistry, physics, health, and the health science and wellness. As far as the social science, we have some of that, and we also have a psychology course. And it's taught, and one thing that's tricky about psychology, let me just go back to that briefly. As with all the sciences, we take everything that you see here is done with the Catholic lens, right? We take a kind of a Catholic worldview. And the teachers are, while not everything is laden with Catholicism, if you will, when it comes to those really important issues that will sometimes traverse or be brought up in class, we take a Catholic approach, keeping in mind that unless it otherwise specifies that the real sensitive subjects are going to be left in your lap as a parent. But some classes will talk about those difficult subjects. Again, we just take a very responsible approach to that, and we really leave it in the hands of the parents in most cases, right? The course description would specify if there's any sensitive subjects that are going to be brought up, just so you know. So pay attention to the course descriptions. They will specifically state what is addressed, and if there are any subject areas that are going to be sensitive in nature. But we leave that in your hands as a parent. But we take a very responsible approach with that. And we certainly take a Catholic worldview on all these subjects. As far as other subjects, geography, geology, space science, theology, apologetics, theology of the body, Mariology, biblical studies, and a whole lot more. We have a lot of theology courses, government, law, economics, the Supreme Court, elections, and more. We actually have, during the election year, we actually offer an elections course. So the students, so not this year, but next, when the federal elections kick in, we'll have a course on the elections. So the students are learning alongside when those elections are occurring, the election cycle, what that looks like, what does it look like to be, what is the electoral college and how does that involve? All those elements are brought up in the elections course. It's kind of a neat course, but we bring it up every 4 years. As far as computer skills, Microsoft Word, PowerPoint, computer programming, 3D modeling, and data sciences. And languages, we cover from Spanish, German, French, American Sign Language, Greek, and Latin. As far as the histories go, from ancient history through American history and the modern era, with many unique approaches to history, such as the inventions through history. So history can be kind of a boring subject if you just kind of think of it as a regurgitation of facts. But our approach is to make it interesting as best as we can. So for example, the course that you see here, the inventions through history, there's a course taught by Philip Campbell talking about the 12 inventions that changed the world. And so they're looking at history through the lens of like the invention of the printing press and things of that sort. So they're really looking at history and focus on that one item, but they're learning history in a very broad way that surrounds the invention of that particular item. So it's a really fascinating way of bringing history to life. There's also art, music, speech and debate, the drama and the performing arts, culture, and film. And as far as life skills are concerned, we have an excellent student course, which actually is being taught this summer, a test prep course, preparing for the ACT and the SAT. And so those are just kind of a sampling of the different courses that are there. In total, we have about 200 different subjects that are taught live. Or, I'm sorry, 200 different courses that are taught live over this course of the school year, over this 2023-24 school year. And it's been like that for the better part of 5 to 6 years now. So there are two ways to take courses, and we kind of hit on that earlier a little bit. There are live courses that are scheduled. So during the, again, I mentioned there are over 200 live courses, or almost 200 live courses taught by 45 instructors. I think that's the right number. I kind of lose track because we keep adding teachers, and we do some of that in the late against after our catalog's been published, if you will. But there's only a handful of those, like 1 or 2 courses that are added. But so that it's hard to kind of keep track of the number. But we have a lot of teachers, and they're all wonderful. Jennifer Mullen, who, if you weren't here earlier, was talking. She's the course monitor, the monitor for this evening. She was talking about how wonderful the teachers that she's assisted in class, and I would agree. The ones we have are just really excellent. And so what is a live course like? And we got that question earlier. Kind of what does it feel like? What does it unfold like, if you will? Well, we have scheduled dates and times for meeting times. These courses are listed in our course catalog, which is now completely online, by the way. It's under the course finder tool off the website. So it's under that course finder tool that you can find all the courses, when they meet, and at what time. So when you sign up, classes will begin on a specific date. Again, that's detailed out. And the students get a reminder email leading up to the start of the class time. So what happens is they'll get I think it's 2 weeks out, but before every class meeting, all the students will receive a reminder email 1 hour before class starts. And that email will give them the link to join the classroom, to join the webinar. Kind of like when you got the webinar reminder email tonight, 15 minutes before we convened. That's a similar experience, except the students get a 1 hour reminder before class starts. So the students would enter the classroom. The teacher focuses on the content that they themselves have created using any kind of curriculum that they decided they've elected to use for that course. And the monitor, who's another adult in the room, monitors. And if you weren't here for that description, what that entails, the course monitor who's in the room is another adult that's there to make sure that the students and the teachers' technology works. In some cases, they have audio issues or whatnot, and so the monitor can focus on helping that student while the teacher proceeds to teach the class. That way, there's not kind of any interruptions with that. Also, the monitor is there to make sure that the teacher has what he or she needs to teach the class. Maybe they're trying to do something, or they want to make sure that their camera angle is good and that sort of thing. They'll help them with that as well. But also they'll help with student behavior, encouraging the students that are doing great, and also admonishing students that maybe need to step back and not do what they're doing, whatever that might be. It doesn't happen often, but we do have a protocol in place to make sure that any disruptive student is removed from class, or if that's a necessary step. Sometimes it's not, but we do have a kind of a whole protocol in place. Being around 15 years, we kind of learned what is the best way to handle this, right? And so the monitors are there to help the students and the teachers, and it really makes a very holistic and effective learning experience. Now, the students would engage either the instructor or the monitor, or both, or in some cases each other, I should say, in class, if that's what's warranted by the design of that particular class meeting. There is homework due, and that homework is graded unless stated otherwise. I mean, maybe it's not a graded assignment, but the teachers will grade assignments typically, and will assign a grade at the end of the semester. So again, the only exception might be if the course syllabus says it's not going to be, or the course description says there's no graded homework, but inevitably it would state that explicitly if that were the case. Otherwise, yeah, it's graded. The kids would receive a grade for that particular course, and then you can and at the end of every course, at the bottom of it, there is a certificate of completion. That way you can print it off, put your student's name on it, maybe what grade did they earn, if you wanted to do it that way. Otherwise, we do have a couple of mechanisms in place to help you track grades, which I can get to in a minute. But that's one way of helping you track grades, and one way of actually assigning kind of completion for a given course. Before I go on, that's kind of an important slide. Are there any questions about what I just happened to say? All right, so Olga's asking, does Homeschool Connections facilitate GED for 12th graders? No, we don't. We don't do that. And in fact, I wouldn't even know how to answer where to point you in that direction. I think there's a governing agency that oversees that, but we don't necessarily facilitate that, Olga. Thank you for the question, though. Okay, I'm not seeing any other questions come in. All right, so we'll go into, again, I saw the other questions that were asked earlier. I'll definitely be getting to those in just a moment. The other way to take courses is through unlimited access. These are previously recorded courses or previously live courses that have been archived. And they're over, I'd say 450 here, but it's over 500 now. So you have quite a bit to choose from. But it's designed to be a way for you as a parent to ensure that the student, if there's a particular subject area that's not available to you in your area, if you're going to a co-op, or you can't find anything that's reliable, or you like the students like the self-paced experience, this is a great way to supplement your or even supplement your curriculum, or even take it on in total and complete. We have a number of students that have graduated and went on to college and be very successful just by going through the unlimited access program, which I'll get into the specifics of what that looks like now. So let me back up here. I'm sorry, I meant to go to this slide right here. So there are over 450 courses for one price. And that one price, there's one way of paying, there's a couple of different ways of paying for it. If you decided to do an annual subscription, you have access to all the courses for $360, and it's a family subscription. So let's say you have 3 students and they want to share the one account. Those same 3 students could do different courses, but it would all be for $360. So they could have 20 courses assigned to them under one account for $360. The trick is going to be for you as a parent to make sure that you know which student is doing which course. So that's kind of one of the pitfalls around that. I just want to let you know, but that's also why we make that same unlimited access account. We also expand it so that you could have 2 accounts if you wanted to, for an additional, I think it's an additional, $100. No, I'm sorry, it's an additional $80 if I'm not mistaken. The other way to do it is also you could do a monthly subscription. And so maybe you don't want to pay it all at once, but you want to do it still month to month. You could do unlimited access for $34.97 per month if you wanted to do that. You can cancel it at any time. The first 7 days are free, so you can see if it's going to fit your homeschooling needs or not. Ideally it does, but in case it doesn't, you have an entire week to test it out. You can look at any course that's in the catalog, any one of them that's available, all 400 courses. You can go look at any of them and kick the tires and see if it's something that your student would like to try out. This is what I was referring to a moment ago. There is a way to do. You can have more than one account, and it's called multiple user access. It's a service for families who have separate accounts. You want each student to have their own account. You can do that for sure. So for a monthly cost, if you're to pay monthly, it's just an additional $10 per month. So you would, for 2 accounts, you would pay $44.97. If you want to do, sorry about that. If you wanted to have 3 or more accounts, let's say, it's only $20 a month. So let's say you had 5 students that wanted to take unlimited access and have their own accounts. You could do that for $54.97 for 5 students. If you want to do 3 students, same thing, it's $54.97. So 3 or more students, it's going to be $54.97 for all 3 accounts, 4 accounts, 5 accounts, that sort of thing. Keeping in mind it's for immediate family only, and not for extended family like second cousins on your husband's side or something like that. All right. All right. There's also, let me back up here. Just one other thing. I mentioned that there is multiple user account. You can pay for that annually too. So I think I said earlier it was $440, and I think it's $550 after that. So I think I'm getting my numbers right. So anyway, but that's $440 for 2 students, $550 I think for, or maybe it's $600. It's $600 for 3 more students. That's what it is. So, but you can look on the website. But anyway, I think it's $600 for 3 or more students to have their own account for an entire year. The real benefit of doing that is you get 2 months for free. That's what it works out to be. That's why you would do annual over say a month-to-month arrangement. Now, let's say you don't need all the courses available. You could just pick. You can do your pick and choose, or your single course access. That's what I like to call it, and it's $17.97 per month per course. So let's say you're taking a history course, and after 6 weeks, the student finishes that course, and they want to go to another course. Just email us, and that's all you need to do. Just email us, and we'll switch the course for you. Let us know which course it is, and we'll switch them over to another course. And the subscription continues until you say stop. We don't want it anymore. So the question I got is annual for 12 months? Then yes, it is. It's a rolling 12-month period, not a so you start in May, it'll end in May the following year, right? That kind of thing. So a good question came in from Charlotte. Do they still get graded work if you do unlimited access? Yes, and there's a way to make that happen, I should say, and I'm about to get to that actually. It's called instructor access. There's a way to do that. Instructor access, it's another service that you contract with the teacher to do. And basically there's a button inside each course that you pay the teacher directly for that. We don't want to be the intermediary for that. We want you to engage the teacher directly. So what happens is they're notified via email. Hey, so-and-so, Charlotte is requesting you to grade their student's assignment for history 101, or whatever it might be, right? And so that teacher would be within 24 hours, they would reach out to you, respond to your email, respond to the notification, I should say, saying, okay, I got your request. Please have your students start submitting their assignments to me, and here's how they can do it. And then what happens is the student will then receive feedback on their assignments as they submit them to that teacher. And that's kind of how it works. And then you get a summary grade at the end of the semester. And then you can put that on your transcript. It's a great way to keep things at a very low cost. Because you're hard pressed to find that anywhere else. And by the way, to pay for the instructor access, it ranges between $50 to, I think the highest is, I think it's $99. Don't quote me on that, but I think it's around $99 for each course. So it just depends on what the teachers decided to charge. And more, if there's a lot of grading involved, then you're going to have, it'll be a little higher. It'll be in the higher end of that range I told you. If there's not as much grading involved, it'll be on the lower end. Hopefully that helps answer your question. So Madeline asked a good question. What is the communication like between student and teacher during the live class? Well, it's like any, I guess I suppose it's like anything. I would imagine in terms of regular communication, the students do ask questions all the time of the teachers through our Moodle application. So the students can reach out to the teacher that way. And in some cases, the teachers will obviously they'll see them in class and answer questions there. But outside of class, they have access to them through email. And in many cases, if the teacher, I should say in some cases, the teacher will talk to the student. I've heard this happening where they'll talk to them over the phone, but that's not as common. And usually it's done with, we want the parent to be involved in those types of things too. So, but the teachers are very accessible. Let's just leave it at that. They really go out of their way to make sure the students learn. And Jennifer mentioned earlier about the quality of the teachers. They really are. They genuinely care about the performance of the student, if the student's getting it or not. As long as the student's engaged in the learning process, that teacher will be above and beyond engaged. So they really do a great job. And so, thank you, Madison, for weighing in on that. Yeah, they really go out of their way to make sure that the students know what's due, what's coming up, and that sort of thing. And if there's questions they need clarification on, the teachers will naturally be there for them. And if they're not, I will say this, and no teacher's perfect. So let me just say it out there. I don't want to say this is all Pollyannish, right? We've had situations where teachers maybe didn't get the email, or maybe they're out of pocket for one reason or another, and they didn't let us know. But that's what we're here for. We're here to help answer, to be an intermediary in those situations, and the teachers will respond to us. So we have a good relationship with all of our teachers, and we'll be happy to reach out to them on your behalf if it's necessary. We always want to encourage the parents, though, to be quite honest with you, to reach out to the teachers directly. It sounds kind of funny to say this, but they're adults, and they are willing to hear what you have to say as a parent and student. If your student has a concern that they would like to raise or bring to the attention to their attention, they'll listen to it. And so, and we can facilitate some of that communication if necessary. We do that whenever it's necessary. So we take these issues quite seriously. We want to make sure that the student is learning and the teacher's teaching. And anyway, so very good. I hope that helps a little bit answer your question.
We had a question too about communication. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. It's about instructor access. Can you add it at any time? Like if you want a final grade for an essay?
Yeah,
the,
you can. You can add it at any time. That's what it's designed to be. It's that you can add it at any time. So like say, for example, summer, maybe you want your student to take a summer class to catch up on a credit or two that they're going to need to graduate. They could do that right now. They could take a class, they could contract with the teacher. Teacher would then engage the student and you to initiate how the submission of the assignments will ensue, what the schedule looks like, that kind of thing. It's worth pointing out about instructor access, and I would be remiss if I didn't say it. This is the accountability part of it, right? So you could take a class, let's say it's a 12-week course, as an example. You contracted instructor access, and that the wheels are already in motion. Your student sits on the assignment, all the assignments for 10 weeks and decides to submit all of them in a 2-week period. Well, that's not really what it's designed to do, as you might imagine. It's designed to kind of follow the schedule of the course itself. So if the assignment is due after 2 weeks of starting the course, it's about approximately the student, unless there's some prohibiting circumstance that needs to be communicated to the teacher, and that can be worked out with the teacher. There really should be turned in to the teacher on a 2 to 3 week window, somewhere in there, right? Teachers, you can work with the teachers if there's a need for flexibility there, but you can't expect the teachers to do all the catch up work for 10 weeks worth of work in 2 weeks, right? That would be unrealistic. So, but they are there to make sure that the assignments are turned in, and if they're not, they'll reach out to you as a parent in most cases and say, hey, look, your student's not turning anything into me. I've reached out to them, and it hasn't, we're way behind, or what have you. How do you want to handle this? Those are the kind of, they'll do their best to communicate with you, but they will certainly reach out to the student and say, look, I haven't heard from you, what's going on, that kind of thing. So hopefully the student takes the initiative and responds why they haven't turned in their assignments on time or whatnot. So
somebody else is asking, if you don't choose instructor access, when are the tests when are the tests or quizzes, and who grades them?
yeah, great question. So in most cases, you'll have an answer key, and it's a password protected answer key. So when you get your email with your account information and your login, your username and password, it does provide an answer key code, because the answer key will be in the course, but it's password protected, and the password is in your email that you get. So it'll be there for you as a parent, so you can grade the assignments. Now, there are certain situations where, like Latin, for example, translations, right? There are numerous ways of translating Latin. So in that situation, my recommendation would be, as a parent, to engage the teacher through instructor access, right? Because there's no real answer key that would be sufficient for the answers to those particular translations. So we would encourage you to go through the instructor access as a means to make sure that the translations are good and spot on. That being said, almost every other class will provide, and there are a few exceptions, but you'll see them, but most of them will provide an answer key. And if there's not an answer key, the assignments will have feedback that's given to the students immediately. So it's an online quiz, as an example. The quiz, the students will take it, and they'll receive a grade immediately following that. So there's no answer key necessary for that. But the feedback they'll get will be, remediation in most cases. They'll say, well, you focus on this or do this, that kind of thing. Or here's your grade, and you can log that grade, actually the grade's logged in their account. So that way you have a record of it, and you can use that to report on if you're a transcript or what have you for your own records. Hopefully that answers the question, and if there's any follow-up to that, feel free to ask. I'm happy to do my best to answer it. So I've kind of mentioned this already, maybe alluded to it, but courses are all inside of our learning management system. It's just called Moodle. It's a very popular system, very popular platform for colleges. So Colleges use Moodle all the time, and which is one of the reasons why, oops, sorry about that, which is one of the reasons why we use Moodle as well. Now we're about to go to our own learning management system, and there's for a lot of good reasons I could explain, but for lack of a better, for just to keep it short, we would like, there are certain things we love about Moodle, and that is great, but we're about to convert it into our own learning management system. So it'll be very user friendly, very even more so than what Moodle is, and it'll have all the bells and whistles that we like about Moodle, and even more so. So that's going to be happening, I think, not this school year, but next. So be on the lookout for that. But right now we use Moodle, and it's each course is embedded within a Moodle page. And so with unlimited access, here's how this kind of unfolds. You choose your own course, either whether it be a single course at a time with single access or unlimited access. You can choose all the courses if you wanted to. From there, class begins when you want to start it. So it's self-paced, right? It's a self-paced experience. And you begin with class 1, and students would watch the recording. So you have, like, most classes will have, anywhere between 6 weeks, because we segment some courses so one follows another, and follows another, which makes an entire semester. Well, that's what happens in some of our writing courses. But also with like a history course, it's usually going to be a 12-week course. So you would go from 1 week to the next, and you just follow the sequence that's outlined for you inside of the learning management system. And so students would then complete whatever's work and quizzes that are part of that particular week, if there are any. Sometimes there's not. And the platform supports any kind of, pretty much any type of device: laptop, desktop, iPad, tablet, smartphone. But I highly recommend using a laptop or desktop. It's really hard to find. iPads are fine usually, and tablets are. Smartphones, near impossible. I mean, you can watch the recordings for sure, but it's really hard to navigate a learning management system. It doesn't matter what system it is. It's hard to navigate on a smartphone. So I'd highly recommend doing it on those other devices. And yes, the question is about Chromebook. Yeah, Chromebooks are supported. Yeah. So real quick, I'm gonna so we got into the answer keys question, but let me another question came in about does the Aquinas Writing Advantage program count as a single course? I'm not sure I understand the question necessarily. The program itself is a series of courses, and I can include what we have. We've created a course guide for the Aquinas Writing Advantage program that takes you from 9th grade all the way to 12th grade. And it's for summer and fall and spring courses. So we have a whole guide. It's on the front page, as a matter of fact, of homeschoolconnections.com. But I can include that in my summary notes that I'll send to you tomorrow with everything that we're talking about tonight. So that'll help, I think, give you an understanding of what the program entails. But it's a full-on writing program. It goes from 9th grade all the way up to 12th grade. And quite honestly, it's one of the reasons why my daughter goes to Hillsdale and my son, who's an honor student at Benedictine College, is they write so well. It's in large part to this writing program. They are excellent writers, and I wish I had half of their writing ability. So it's a wonderful, it's a pretty fantastic program. All right, so I mentioned, yeah, it's all right. We already answered this question about answer keys. So hopefully that I did it justice, and I hope I did. All right. So, and we did hit on this a little bit, instructor access. This is the ability, that's a grading service. That's part, if you so choose, it's an optional program, and the prices do vary, but it's with many of the recorded courses, which allows you to work with that teacher who taught the course to get feedback on the coursework that's part of that course. So I'm kind of going through the slides. So I'm answering much of this, many of these questions already. So I'll just kind of skip through these. Okay, and you kind of see what this is. I've already answered this question too. All right. So we talked about the cost already. It does based on the difficulty of grading, how much is involved. All right. All right. One thing I wanted to hit on a little bit, and this is a philosophy that Maureen and I have had since the beginning, and that is this idea of making sure that we have teachers that are faithful to the magisterium of the Catholic Church, and also people that are enthusiastic. They love teaching this subject matter. And the reason why they love it, or the reason why they teach what they teach, is because they design the courses that they do teach, right? We're not asking them to teach a book that on history from a literature teacher, right? We don't ask a literature teacher to teach a history course. That's not anything that we desire. We want someone who loves teaching history and has a passion for it. And that is an infectious experience, right? That enthusiasm, it can be contagious. And it's one of the things that we feel like that's one of the things we look for when we look for our teachers. They love what they teach. And it definitely is indicative of some of the teachers that we have. And so let me just take you through a little bit about who they are. So Dr. Jean Rioux, he's the chair of the philosophy department at Benedictine College, teaches some philosophy courses with us. Joseph Pierce, you may have seen him before. He is a popular Catholic author, EWTN personality. He's been all over the place. And he loves teaching Shakespeare, Tolkien, you name it. He's been great, and he's a really wonderful guy. I remember the first time I reached out to him to teach for us. It was at a Catholic homeschool conference, as a matter of fact, that I happened to be part of. And I said, Mr. Pierce, would you like to teach for us? And he said, sure, I'd be happy to. Well, as it turns out, what he heard was not what I said. And he was saying he thought I was going to help sell his books because that's all I knew at the time. But anyway, it was kind of a funny conversation at the time. But he's a wonderful teacher, and he loves teaching on all things literature, specifically on the Shakespeare and Tolkien genre. Lisa Mladinich is a popular Catholic speaker. She also is the host of our podcast, Homeschooling Saints. As a matter of fact, she's an author, founder of AmazingCatechist.com, and she appears on television and radio. She teaches a class on the dignity of young women, as a matter of fact. It's a great class, and the girls love it, as a matter of fact. Gary Mishuda is a popular Catholic author and expert on Catholic apologetics. He's appeared on Catholic Answers numerous times and on TV numerous times. So he's great. I love him to death. He's a big guy, a big burly 6'8" guy. But as gentle as a kitten. Erin Brown, she is the director, or rather, she developed the Aquinas Writing Advantage program from scratch. She's a professional writer, and the teachers that teach for the AWA program are all professional writers, right? They either are, they're very well seasoned in writing. And so she's actually written the book that's used for the Aquinas Writing Advantage program, Simplified Writing 101. Kevin O'Brien, he is a host of AWTN Seed of the Word and other specials. He has some great courses. He's teaching a class this summer on Meet the Saints, which is kind of cool because what he does is he dresses up as a saint and he acts as if he's that saint. So the students are sitting there asking him questions and he responds as a saint would have responded. It's kind of a neat exercise and the kids love it. And that's going on this summer. And so there are a lot of others I could go on, but needless to say, they're all world-class teachers. They're very passionate, and they pass that passion on to the students because they simply love it. They love their subject matter, and they love sharing it with the students. And so if you want to learn more about them, just go to the website. We have a whole page under the About tab about our teachers. So I mentioned a little bit earlier about the summer courses. We do have some summer courses coming up, and I wanted to share with you. We have, I think, 44, that are being taught this summer. And here's just a sampling of those. I'm going to stop and take a drink. You guys can look at this list real quick if you want, because there's some really great ones on here. But it'll help kind of give you an idea of what's coming up this summer. Some are about to begin. Actually, some start next week, as a matter of fact. And some won't happen until the first part of August. So you can see there's some pretty neat classes in there, and that's only a smattering, as you can tell. I think I have 12 classes listed there. There's another 32 or so that are actually in the summer list for this upcoming school year. So take a look at that if any of your students want to kind of tap into it. One of the things I'm really excited about, to be quite honest with you, I'm a little biased because I like Star Wars, but it's this one right here, The Science of Star Wars. With that's kind of a cool looking class. I would almost like to take that one myself. All right. So I've talked a lot about kind of the different subjects, the teachers, the live and recorded, but kind of taking another perspective. How can you use Homeschool Connections in your homeschool? Well, you can do it a few different ways. One, you can use you can use the full program of the AWA program as an example. So you could just consume that, all the courses, if you wanted to handle it that way. You could also just do single subject areas. Maybe you just want to look at, you don't have any really good history resources, or maybe better yet, you like the history that we teach as an example. You could just focus on that as one way of doing it. You could also look at individual courses. And I think I saw a question earlier, can you do courses a la carte? The answer is yes. You could pick and choose your courses. That's exactly how we started out. We wanted to be a supplement to parents who are trying to find good resources, good Catholic, reliable resources for their students that might not be available to them in their local co-op, or maybe there's something that's maybe lacking in the current curriculum that you have that you wanted to reinforce. I don't know, whatever you want to do. Maybe you just like it that much, or the students want to take that class because, golly, it sounds so cool, like that Star Wars course I just mentioned. That's kind of how we operate. So you can do a la carte. You could, meaning one course at a time. You could focus on an entire subject there if you wanted to. You could mix and match, whatever you want to do. Or you could even take the full-on writing program or the full-on grade school program, whatever. That it's up to you. It's up to you. So here's a question that we get about. We get questions about accreditation. Are we accredited? And we're not, and that's on purpose. We believe that the parents are the ultimate accrediting agency for their students. And in fact, we do invite you to take a look at an article that we have about that, but I can even elaborate on the reasons why in just a moment. Let me just put this inside of our chat. This is the article, so you can take a look at this if you want at any given time. It's kind of our philosophy around accreditation, but explains kind of our angle on it. But essentially, accreditation is why you would accreditation primarily is a tool for transferring between one school and another, right? If your intention is to homeschool and stay the course, if you will, then most colleges, there are a few exceptions, but most colleges, and I mean like 99% of them, do not require you to have an accredited transcript to graduate and to be accepted into their university. University of Dallas, my daughter went with them out of her, she's now at Hillsdale. She transferred last year, middle of last year. And anyway, University of Dallas does not require an accredited transcript. They make it possible for you as a homeschooler to pull together all the things that are necessary, meaning the courses that you've taken, the materials that you've used, the writing samples that you've done. You submit that as part of your application, and they will give you the thumbs up or the thumbs down, but it's not a requirement to be accredited. The same goes with any of the Ivy League schools, right? They don't require it. So many secular institutions do not require it. Some of the exceptions might be, I think if your student is an NCAA athlete, I think there's some things that need to be worked around that. And I think the military institutions, like the United States Naval Academy and West Point and things like that, I think they require accrediting transcripts. And maybe the state of Arizona, the schools there, the state universities there. I could be wrong on that. They may have changed. But anyway, you kind of get the idea that most schools do not require it, and therefore we don't either. Or we're not going to be accredited for that reason. All right. So earlier, I think someone asked about our writing program. If your student is interested in kind of entering into the writing program, we do have what we call a writing assessment. and it is a personalized writing assessment. And I'm going to go ahead and put the link in here. And again, you don't have to write this down, but you can click on it if you want, but it'll all be included in the summary email as well. But it's a writing assessment that your students can, you want to see where your students at in their writing capabilities. We will do a full-on holistic writing evaluation of your student. And it's quite all-encompassing. It's very comprehensive. It looks at your punctuation and grammar. It gives you an analysis and feedback, and it's a questionnaire really designed to match your students' writing goals. So really, it's designed to give you an idea how well your student is and where to place them in our writing program, because that's a big thing. I know that many parents are trying to figure out, where does my student belong? Can they jump the 9th grade curriculum and go right into 10th? That's a good way of, this is a great way of answering that question by going through the writing assessment. So some other ancillary aspects of Homeschool Connections that have kind of developed and over time, and by the way, I'm about to conclude, so we're about to end on time, is we have student life that's outside of class. We're not all about class. While our classes are wonderful, we do like to provide a bit of a way for students to collaborate. And by the way, I was reluctant with this for quite a long time. It wasn't until one of our students, who's now working for us as one of our software developer, he's, Walter, you got to do this, you got to do this, you got to do this. And so we have what we call the Student Cafe. The Student Cafe is a place where the kids have a chance where they can connect. And they can do it a number of different ways. There's a weekly rosary they're invited to. That's part of the parent community, as a matter of fact. They do a Friday night game night. So they're playing, and that's adult moderated, by the way. We have a person who's responsible for that. Her name's Marlena Weber. She oversees that. And it's a fun experience. They do some really good games. None of it's gory or anything like that. It's actually, we have Minecraft as part of it, but we have our own Minecraft server. So Minecraft can kind of be kind of a tricky thing. I know that if you're online and you're trying to do it and you meet some guy overseas, whatever, you're like, whoa, what? That's not this. This Minecraft is only Homeschool Connections students. We have our own server. It's our own environment. The kids get a chance to kind of have fun, and it's online, and so the kids get a chance to do that. But that's part of the game night. It's not the only thing that they do, but it's one aspect of it, and they can enjoy it. There is a talent show. I think they just had one, or they're about to have one, I think at the end of sometime in June, if I'm not mistaken. And we have had a video contest where the kids actually submitted their testimonies, and they had to do this kind of creative way of doing it. And it was kind of neat. So the kids had a chance to participate in that. And there's a whole host of other things that go on. For example, they'll do study groups, and they'll even talk about some serious issues, and they'll debate about them. So it's a great way of, it's all adult moderated. We have several adults in there that are there to ensure that it's a positive environment, but it's also a productive one. And the kids build lasting relationships from the Student Cafe experience. So what is it for the parents? Well, we have our own community. We have a Facebook page for the parents, but some parents don't like Facebook, and so we provided our own community. It's got about 2,400 parents that are part of it. By the way, the Student Cafe has about 600 kids in it right now, as a matter of fact. They have their own afternoon tea, the parents do. They are the ones who benefit from the talent show because the students put it on for the parents. And they also get the benefit of being supported by other parents. Questions get answered, or rather get asked, and parents will sometimes chime in and give them an answer or another point of view to look at. The other thing that we have is a podcast. If you're not familiar with it, it's our Homeschooling Saints podcast. If you ever follow us on Facebook, this is what it'll look like, these little vignettes. Or rather the thumbnails. This is just a sampling of some of the thumbnails. We have over 160 episodes, and we're almost at 100,000 downloads. So go out there and subscribe to it. We'd love to have you part of it. It publishes every Wednesday morning. So a new podcast will be released tomorrow morning, as a matter of fact. And we do it first thing in the morning. So you'll get notified, and you can go out there and download and listen to it. It's about 30 to 40 minutes long, usually. We also have our own conference coming up. It's an online conference. I would highly recommend you signing up for this. I'm going to go ahead and just copy and paste the link in there. This is the Catholic Homeschool Conference. This is a Homeschool Connections thing. This actually started during the pandemic. We were approached by a wonderful person, Pilas Scanik. Hey, have you thought, would you like to put an online conference since all the conferences are kind of kaput because of the pandemic? We said sure. So that started in about 2019 or no 2020, and it's been going ever since. And it's a very interactive experience. It's not just a webinar. Like I'm in a talking head. It's not like that. It's very engaging. It's online conference platform, and it's designed to be a lot of fun and engaging. And by the way, we have a lot of giveaways. For example, we're doing mini raffles. Not mini like it's in small, but mini as in a lot. Mini raffles, and we're giving away, for example, the St. Leo. We're giving away the St. Leo Lego set that Holy Heroes puts out. I think they're one of the, well, actually it's a Lego set, but anyway, kids love it because they're creating the altar. I think they create the altar, and so they put together the Lego set for the altar. So it's really neat. So that's one of many giveaways we'll be having. So it's going to be a lot of fun. It's great. It's on June 9th and 10th. It's Friday and Saturday. Highly recommend being a part of it. Dr. Greg and Lisa Popchek, as you can see pictured here, are going to be part of it. They're going to be our keynote. Pam Barnhill is another speaker, and then Joseph Pierce is also in there as well. Oops, sorry about that. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't mean to do that. All right, let me get to this. Okay, so what I would encourage you to do at this point is, if you want to get more information about Homeschool Connections, check out our course finder. It's on the homeschoolconnections.com website. Or you can give us a call at the 888 number. We're happy to take your call. You'll go right to voicemails, but someone will get back to you that day, just so you know. So don't worry. Usually it's very quick. It's within the hour usually, unless you're calling at the very end of the day. But we will get back to you within 24 hours. And you can always email us at info@homeschoolconnections.com for any specific help you may have. So let me just stop there, and we're a little after here, but I want to see what questions you may have. Jennifer, are there any questions that are asked that I didn't get to already?
Yes. There was one parent who asked about the Aquinas writing courses for adults. If they wanted to take it, do they sign up as a parent, or do they need a separate student account? How does that work?
Okay, so your best bet is to take it as a recorded course, because we do, for the live courses, we do want it to be an environment where the kids feel like they're not being watched by another parent. And so probably the best bet is to actually take it as a recorded course. And that is certainly doable. Absolutely. We have a lot of parents that do that, as a matter of fact. They'll take courses from us in a self-paced way. And it may be better for you simply because you would have the ability to consume the content at your leisure instead of at a designated time. Yeah.
It was called Aquinas Parents. It had something called, Aquinas Adults. Okay.
Massa, maybe if that's was that your question from earlier about the
Yes.
yeah, if you want to reach out to me through email, let me put my email in here. I welcome that. Maybe we could talk about it offline, because I think maybe I could be more help to you that way. Yeah, that's okay. Yeah, there's my email address. In fact, that extends to everybody. If anything that I brought up during tonight's presentation is nebulous, or maybe you want further elaboration on it, I'm happy to do that. I'm happy to actually answer any other questions that do come up, and just email me at that email account. I'm happy to do that.
Okay.
So,
There was another one.
yeah, go ahead.
Sorry.
No, go ahead. Yeah, no, go ahead, please.
Somebody's currently enrolled in unlimited access, but are thinking about registering for live courses in the fall. If after a couple of weeks the live classes do not work out, what are their options?
Yeah, I mean, so what we'll do is we have first off, you get a refund if you do it before the third meeting, right? You would be eligible for a refund before the third meeting of the class. Just so you know, but that's the first thing I tell you. Second thing, I would encourage you to just fall back on instructor. You could you can incorporate instructor access as part of the the unlimited access experience. I highly recommend that because it's great getting feedback from the teacher who taught the course, and it's a wonderful resource. The students get a lot out of it, to be honest with you. It's great for students with also some I know that we have parents that have students with learning differences. Maybe they're dealing with ADHD, or maybe they maybe don't digest material quite as well, or as quite as quick as others. That's the unlimited access is tailor-made for that, if you ask me. So I would, because you can watch a course, watch a class. Oh, I didn't get that. Let me go over that again. Let me go over it again, whatever, until you get it. It's a great resource. And I know my son did it when he was a senior, as a matter of fact, to supplement some of the courses he was shy on before he graduated. Hopefully that answers the question. And if it didn't,
is there access to prior conferences too for the where the conference is recorded? Are they available to watch somewhere?
Yeah, there is. I will include the link in the summary email that has that. Yeah, there is. And in fact, if it's helpful, I can include the link to the open houses that we've already done so far, the AWA program and the grade school program. If you'd like, I can certainly do that. I'd happy to do that. We do have we did the refresh conference. It was great. We had wonderful talks. I can include the links to that as well, if y'all would find that to be beneficial. We do have a page that's actually set up that frankly, I've been remiss in updating. I've not been very good about updating. And so that's my responsibility. That's on me. And so I'll be happy to update that with all the things that I'm talking about now. So they're all in one place, that we don't have to go find it.
Okay, so Madeline was asking about the live courses, if they're recorded, like if a student's traveling or, misses a class. And that's the beauty of this whole system, right? Is that these classes are recorded and posted, within 24 hours for the students to watch.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, you said it better than I could have. Yeah, and we do that because we realize that parents, students travel on vacation. Maybe they're in the car and I can't attend class, but I'll catch the recording later on. We post it 24 hours within 24 hours. So it's all there, and the students would have access to it within 24 hours. In some cases, I say 24 hours is usually before the end of the day, is usually how it's done. But we say 24 hours in the event that there's some extenuating circumstance. But yeah, we do that because we realize there are students that aren't always going to make class, that still want to be in the live class, but they're just going to happen to miss that particular session. Yeah. Good question. Any other questions that I can help answer?
I was just referring back to Moodle. Everything's in Moodle for the kids to check off. I mean, I don't have a problem with it, but yeah, there's checklists, there's coursework, so they know what needs to be completed. They can put little check marks in there once they've completed something, and the courses are all recorded and they're up there for you to view. So yeah, it's a great program.
Yeah, and Luke's asked a good question. Are summer courses available under unlimited access? The answer is yes. Yeah, they are. And Madison's asking if a course is too difficult, a student is able to transfer to a different course, like courses. Yes, that's possible. And the transfer is $20. So we do that just yeah, but they can absolutely transfer if if they find an alternative. Yeah.
Question, referring back to that summer course situation, when are the summer courses available in unlimited access?
Oh, okay, good question. Yeah. So we do have a deadline for the courses from a previous semester to be available as part of our service of unlimited access. So the summer courses are available no later than October 15th. Now this is for this. So let me be clear on this. So if let's say you have an unlimited access subscription now, right? And you wanted to take the photography class as an example that's being done currently. you would have to wait until October 15th before that course is prepared. Now, it may be done earlier than that, but October 15th is the deadline that we give ourselves for all the courses from the summer to be available for unlimited access. Now, if you're taking it live, remember, if you're taking that course, the photography course live, you'll have access to the recording of that class, within 24 hours, just so you know. But I want to be clear on the distinction. Now, that's for summer. For the fall classes are available by January 15th, if I remember correctly, or February 15th, excuse me. And the spring courses are available by July 15th. So they'll be all done and ready to go by July 15th. Yeah. Hopefully that answers that question.
I think that was everything. Does anybody
Okay.
else have any more questions?
Yeah. Great questions. Yeah. I'm not seeing anything else. That's Maureen, by the way. If you didn't know what she looked like, there she is. Just thank you for coming, everybody. We really appreciate you taking the time. We know that you're pulling yourselves away from your family and whatnot. We get that. And we too have families, and we are our homeschoolers ourselves. I didn't mention that in my my introduction, but I'm a homeschool dad of 6, and 2 of them have graduated. 4 are still in the house. They're still in the coop, so to speak. The 2 are doing excellent in school. That's the path that they've chosen. Well, it's not for everybody. It's the path that they've chosen, and they're doing very well. And in large part because of the classes they've taken with us, and also we're eclectic. We had a co-op too that we leveraged too. So kind of give you an idea of how we operate. And Maureen, she has graduated all 7 of her kids, and she lives in Michigan, and they're doing great. And so she's a grandma of, I think, 6 now. So anyway, kind of give you an idea who we are, and we're very sympathetic, and we're very because we love homeschooling, we love homeschoolers, and we understand where you're coming from. And if there's anything we can do to help you be a better homeschooler or help your homeschooling, let us know. We'll do everything we can to do just that. Okay. In the meantime, thank you again for coming this evening, and look for the email tomorrow that'll summarize everything we talked about, along with some of the links I mentioned. And thank you everybody for coming. Thank you, Madison, for that. We really appreciate it. Y'all have a great evening. Good night.